Captain Jake Morrison walked across the bridge of the UES Colossus with steady steps. The massive warship stretched 15 kilometers from front to back, making it the largest vessel humanity had ever built. Jake had commanded smaller ships before, but nothing came close to the raw power that hummed beneath his feet. The Colossus was humanity's first Titan-class warship, designed to carry enough firepower to level entire planets if needed. For 300 years, humans had spread across the galaxy like seeds on the wind. They built colonies on distant worlds, mined asteroids for precious metals, and searched every corner of space for signs of intelligent life. What they found instead were empty planets and the crumbling ruins of civilizations that had died out millions of years ago. Humanity began to believe they were alone in the vast darkness between the stars. Commander Lisa Park stood at her station, watching the sensor displays with sharp eyes. She served as the ship's tactical officer, responsible for tracking threats and coordinating defensive systems. Lisa had trained for alien contact scenarios at the Naval Academy, but like everyone else, she never expected to actually use that training. The universe seemed dead and quiet, filled only with the sound of human engines pushing deeper into the unknown. "Captain, we're approaching the Kepler 442 system," Lisa reported, her voice cutting through the bridge's low hum. "Our colony there went dark 3 days ago. Last transmission mentioned strange energy readings at the system's edge." Jake nodded and moved to the command chair. The Kepler 442 colony housed nearly 2 million people, mostly farmers and miners who had chosen to live on the frontier. These colonists represented humanity's boldest spirits, willing to live years away from Earth in pursuit of new opportunities. If something had happened to them, Jake would make sure those responsible paid a heavy price. "Take us out of hyperspace at the system's outer edge," Jake ordered. "I want full sensor sweeps before we go any further." The Colossus dropped back into normal space with a shimmering flash of light. Immediately, the sensor arrays began painting a picture that made everyone on the bridge freeze in shock. 200 alien ships surrounded the human colony world, in perfect formation. The vessels were sleek and elegant, built with curves and flowing lines that spoke of advanced technology and artistic sensibility. "My God," whispered Dr. Elena Vasquez from the science station. "They're beautiful." The alien ships moved with fluid grace, unlike the angular and practical designs of human vessels. Each ship seemed to glow with internal energy, their hulls reflecting starlight in patterns that suggested they were made from materials unknown to human science. Jake estimated the largest ships were about half the size of a human cruiser, but their formations suggested military precision and experience. "Captain, I'm receiving a transmission from the planet's surface," reported Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner from the communications station. "It's Admiral Rodriguez from the Colonial Defense Force." "Put him through." Admiral Kane Rodriguez appeared on the main screen, his face grim and marked by stress. Behind him, Jake could see the Colonial Command Center filled with worried officers, watching their displays. "Jake, thank God you're here. These aliens showed up 2 days ago and immediately demanded our surrender. They claim this entire sector belongs to something called the Zephyrian Dominion." Jake felt his jaw tighten. "What are their demands?" "Complete evacuation of all human colonies in this region. They want us to return to what they call our designated space near Earth. They gave us 72 hours to comply, and that deadline expires in 6 hours. The bridge fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. Humanity had finally found intelligent alien life, and their first act was to order humans around like children. Jake studied the alien fleet formation and noted how they positioned themselves to control all escape routes from the planet. These aliens knew exactly what they were doing. "Any communication from the alien fleet directly?" Jake asked. "They sent one message," Kane replied. "Said they were waiting for our military escort to arrive before beginning final negotiations." "I think they mean you." Jake looked at his crew, seeing determination mixed with nervousness on their faces. None of them had ever faced aliens before, but they were all trained military professionals who understood their duty. The Colossus carried enough firepower to glass a continent, but Jake hoped diplomacy might resolve this situation without bloodshed. "Send a message to the alien fleet," Jake ordered. "Tell them Captain Morrison of the United Earth ship Colossus requests immediate dialogue to discuss their demands." Alex worked at his station for several minutes before looking up with confusion. "Sir, they're responding, but the message is being broadcast on all frequencies. They want everyone in the system to hear this." "Put it through." The main screen shifted to show an alien figure that looked vaguely humanoid, but clearly evolved on a different world. Its skin had a blue-green tint, and its eyes were larger than human eyes, adapted for different light conditions. When it spoke, the translation software rendered its words in perfect English. "Primitive humans. I am Fleet Commander Voron of the Zephyrian Dominion. You will surrender your vessel immediately and submit to Dominion authority. Your species has expanded beyond the boundaries established by superior civilizations. This ends now." Jake stood up slowly, feeling the weight of history settling on his shoulders. Humanity's first contact with alien intelligence, and it was a demand for surrender. Jake Morrison stared at the alien commander on the screen, feeling a cold anger building in his chest. 300 years of human expansion, 300 years of hoping to find friends among the stars, and their first contact was a demand for submission. He could see the arrogance in the alien's large eyes, the casual assumption that humans would simply roll over and accept orders from a superior species. "Fleet Commander Voron," Jake replied, keeping his voice steady and professional. "I'm Captain Morrison of the United Earth ship Colossus. Humans don't respond well to threats or ultimatums. Perhaps we can discuss this situation like civilized beings." The alien commander made a sound that might have been laughter. "Civilized beings recognize the natural order, human. The Zephyrian Dominion has ruled this sector of space for 3,000 years. Your species has existed in our galaxy for barely 3 centuries. You are children playing with toys you don't understand." Behind Voron, Jake could see other aliens working at stations that looked like living coral formations grown into complex shapes. Their technology seemed to blend organic and mechanical elements in ways that human science had never attempted. Everything about their ships and equipment spoke of age and experience that dwarfed humanity's brief journey to the stars. "You have 1 of your hours to comply," Voron continued. "Surrender your vessel and withdraw all human presence from Dominion space. Refuse, and we will demonstrate why 200 civilizations have learned to obey Zephyrian commands." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Jake turned to his senior staff, seeing a mixture of anger and determination on their faces. These were men and women who had sworn oaths to protect human colonies and interests. None of them looked ready to back down from an alien threat. "Opinions?" Jake asked. Commander Lisa Park was the first to speak. "Sir, their fleet positioning suggests they're used to fighting enemies who use similar technology, energy weapons, light armor, fast attack runs. They've arranged themselves to maximize overlapping fields of fire against that kind of opponent." "Chief," Engineer Ryan Kelly stepped forward from his position near the power management station. "Captain, the Colossus isn't that kind of opponent. Our weapons systems are designed for long-range engagement against heavily armored targets. Those alien ships look fast, but they also look fragile." Dr. Elena Vasquez raised her hand hesitantly. "Sir, shouldn't we consider the possibility that they're right? Maybe humans have been expanding too aggressively. These aliens have been here for thousands of years. Perhaps there are established protocols for new species entering the galaxy." Jake nodded, appreciating Elena's perspective even though he disagreed with it. "That's a valid point, Doctor, but they're not offering to teach us those protocols. They're demanding immediate submission and withdrawal. That's not diplomacy, that's conquest." Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner looked up from his communication station. Sir, I'm monitoring their fleet communications. They're using quantum entanglement networks that stretch across multiple star systems. This isn't just a local enforcement action. The entire Dominion is watching this encounter. Jake felt the weight of that revelation. Humanity's first contact with alien intelligence was being broadcast to potentially dozens of civilizations across the galaxy. How humans responded here would shape their reputation for generations to come. Show weakness now, and every alien species would see humans as easy targets. Show strength, and they might earn the respect needed to negotiate as equals. What about their military capabilities? Jake asked Lisa. Based on sensor readings, their ships rely heavily on energy-based weapons and shield systems. Plasma cannons, particle beams, electromagnetic fields for defense. Very sophisticated but designed for a specific type of warfare. They're built to fight other energy-based civilizations. And our weapons? Kinetic projectiles, fusion warheads, particle accelerators designed to punch through heavy armor. We built our weapons to fight other humans who use similar defensive systems. Raw kinetic force applied with surgical precision. Jake walked to the main view screen and studied the alien fleet formation. 200 ships arranged in overlapping defensive patterns, each one probably carrying enough firepower to level a city. But they were spread out to avoid energy weapon splash damage, which meant they were vulnerable to kinetic strikes that could target multiple ships with a single shot. "Sir," reported sensor specialist Kate Phillips from her station near the navigation console. "I'm detecting energy buildups across their fleet. They're charging weapon systems." Jake checked the chronometer. 58 minutes remaining on their ultimatum. The aliens weren't waiting for the deadline. They were preparing to attack if humans showed any sign of resistance. This was clearly a standard Dominion tactic: offer terms that no proud species could accept, then use the inevitable refusal as justification for conquest. "Captain," Ryan called from engineering, "the Titan-class weapons are fully charged and ready. We've never test-fired them in actual combat, but simulations suggest they'll perform exactly as designed." Jake thought about the 2 million colonists on the planet below. Farmers, miners, teachers, children who had never seen Earth but called themselves human. They were depending on him to protect them from alien conquest. He thought about humanity's future among the stars, about whether humans would stand as equals with other intelligent species or kneel as subjects to alien empires. "All hands battle stations," Jake announced over the ship's communication system. "This is not a drill. We are engaging hostile alien forces in defense of human colonists. Prepare for combat." Red lights began flashing throughout the ship as the crew rushed to combat positions. The Colossus had been built for this moment, designed to stand against any threat that might emerge from the depths of space. Jake just never imagined that threat would be their first contact with alien intelligence. "Sir," Alex reported, "the alien fleet is moving into attack formation. They're not waiting for the deadline." Jake settled into his command chair and activated the ship-wide communication system. "This is Captain Morrison. Today, humanity learns whether we stand alone in this galaxy or kneel before alien masters. I know what my choice is." The alien fleet moved like a school of fish, each ship adjusting its position in perfect harmony with the others. Jake watched the tactical display as 200 vessels arranged themselves into an attack formation that spoke of thousands of years of military experience. The Zephyrian ships accelerated smoothly, their engines leaving trails of exotic energy that painted beautiful patterns across the darkness of space. "Sir, they're maintaining communication silence," reported Alex from his station. "No demands, no warnings, no final ultimatum. They're just moving into position to attack." Jake nodded grimly. The aliens had made their decision. Diplomacy was over before it had really begun. Fleet Commander Voran had probably conquered dozens of species using this same approach. Offer impossible terms, then use the inevitable refusal as justification for overwhelming force. It was efficient, brutal, and completely predictable. "Distance to alien fleet?" Jake asked. 2 million kilometers and closing, replied Navigation Officer Pete Carter. At their current acceleration, they'll reach optimal firing range in 12 minutes. Chief Engineer Ryan Kelly spoke up from his position at the power management console. Sir, all weapons systems are online and fully charged. The Titan-class main batteries are ready for firing solutions. Point defense systems are tracking all incoming targets. Jake studied the tactical readouts, noting how the alien ships spread themselves across a wide front to avoid concentrated fire. It was a formation designed to fight enemies who used area effect energy weapons, where spacing prevented chain reactions from destroying multiple ships. But kinetic weapons didn't work that way. A railgun projectile traveling at 15% of light speed would punch through one ship and keep going until it hit something else. Lisa, what's your tactical assessment? Commander Lisa Park highlighted sections of the alien formation on her display. They're using classic energy warfare tactics, sir. Spread formation to minimize splash damage, overlapping fields of fire to create kill zones, coordinated timing to overwhelm shield systems. It's textbook perfect for fighting other energy-based civilizations. And against kinetic weapons? Those formations become a liability. Spread out like that, our projectiles can achieve multiple kills per shot. Their coordination works against them if we can predict their movement patterns. Jake felt a cold satisfaction at Lisa's analysis. The aliens were about to learn that humans fought differently than anyone they had encountered before. 3 centuries of warfare against other humans had taught humanity to build weapons of devastating efficiency, designed to kill quickly and completely. Sir, the alien fleet is beginning their attack run, Kate reported from sensors. They're accelerating to combat speed. The alien ships began to glow brighter as they charged their weapon systems. Energy patterns danced across their hulls like living lightning, beautiful and deadly. Jake could see why these ships had dominated the galaxy for millennia. They looked like works of art come to life, graceful and terrible in their alien perfection. All weapons, prepare firing solutions, Jake ordered. Target the command ships first. Let's cut off their coordination before they can adapt to our tactics. The Colossus hummed with contained power as its weapons systems locked onto their targets. Railgun batteries swiveled on their mounts, tracking the approaching alien vessels with mechanical precision. Fusion torpedo tubes loaded their deadly cargo, each warhead carrying enough destructive force to crack a moon. Particle beam arrays charged their capacitors, preparing to unleash concentrated death across impossible distances. Captain? Doctor. Elena Vasquez called from her science station. I'm reading massive energy buildups across their fleet. Whatever they're about to fire, it's going to be powerful. Jake gripped the arms of his command chair as the moment of truth approached. Humanity's first battle against alien intelligence was about to begin, and the outcome would determine whether humans had a future among the stars or would be remembered as another conquered species. Range, 1 million kilometers, Pete reported. They're entering their optimal firing envelope. The alien fleet opened fire first. 200 ships unleashed their weapons simultaneously, sending cascades of plasma bolts and energy beams racing across space toward the Colossus. The attacks looked like a meteor shower made of pure light, beautiful and terrifying as they approached the human warship. Impact in 30 seconds, Kate announced. All defensive systems are tracking incoming fire. Jake watched the alien weapons approach and felt a moment of doubt. What if human technology wasn't as advanced as they believed? What if these aliens had weapons that could penetrate any defense humanity could construct? The next 30 seconds would answer those questions. Brace for impact, Jake ordered. The alien weapons struck the Colossus like a tidal wave of energy. Plasma bolts exploded against the ship's shields in brilliant flashes of light. Particle beams carved patterns across the defensive barriers, testing for weaknesses with systematic precision. The entire ship shuddered under the assault as energy readings spiked across every system. Defense Coordinator Sam Mitchell called out readings from his station. Forward shields down to 95%. Hull armor holding steady. No penetration, no system damage. Jake felt a surge of fierce pride. The Colossus had absorbed the concentrated firepower of 200 alien warships and barely noticed the attack. Human engineering had proven itself against alien technology, validating every design decision and resource allocation that had gone into building the Titan-class vessel. "Sir, the alien fleet is breaking formation," Lisa reported with surprise in her voice. "They're moving to different attack vectors. I think our defensive capabilities surprised them." Jake could imagine the confusion among the alien commanders. Their devastating first strike, which had probably ended countless wars throughout galactic history, had failed to even damage a single human ship. Now they were scrambling to adapt tactics that had worked for 3,000 years. "Time to show them what human weapons can do," Jake announced. "All batteries, you are cleared to fire. Target the largest ships first." The Colossus erupted with controlled violence. Railgun projectiles screamed across space at relativistic speeds, each one carrying the kinetic energy of a small nuclear weapon. Fusion torpedoes streaked toward their targets like miniature suns, their engines burning bright against the darkness. Particle beam arrays carved invisible lines of death through the void, striking with the precision of surgical instruments. The first salvo reached the alien fleet in seconds. Kinetic projectiles punched through elegant hulls like bullets through tissue paper, venting atmosphere and energy in spectacular explosions. Fusion torpedoes detonated against alien shields, overloading their defensive systems with raw thermal energy. Particle beams sliced through multiple ships in perfect lines, their coherent energy cutting alien vessels in half. 12 alien ships died in the first exchange, their wreckage tumbling through space in growing clouds of debris. The alien fleet recoiled from the Colossus like a living thing in pain. Ships that had moved in perfect formation moments before now scattered in all directions, their elegant coordination shattered by the devastating human counterattack. Jake watched the tactical display as 12 alien vessels became expanding clouds of debris, their beautiful hulls reduced to twisted metal and venting gases. "My God," whispered Dr. Elena Vasquez. "They're not built to take that kind of punishment." "Fleet." Commander Voron's voice crackled over the communication system, no longer smooth and arrogant. "Impossible. No single vessel possesses such destructive capability. What manner of weapons are these?" Jake activated the communication array and replied with cold satisfaction. "Human weapons, Commander, designed by a species that's been perfecting the art of killing for thousands of years. The remaining alien ships tried to regroup, but their formations had been built around energy warfare tactics that simply didn't work against kinetic projectiles." Jake could see their confusion as they attempted maneuvers designed to deflect, particle beams and plasma bolts, only to discover that solid projectiles traveling at near light speed couldn't be deflected or absorbed. "Sir, the alien fleet is attempting to surround us," reported Commander Lisa Park. "They're trying to attack from multiple vectors simultaneously." "Let them come," Jake replied. "Our point defense systems are designed to handle missile swarms. Their ships are just bigger missiles." The Colossus rotated slowly on its axis, bringing fresh weapon batteries to bear on different sections of the alien fleet. The massive warship moved with surprising grace for something so large, its gyroscopic stabilizers keeping the bridge steady even as the ship maneuvered through three-dimensional combat space. Chief Petty Officer Danny Green coordinated the point defense systems from his station near the tactical console. "Sir, multiple alien ships are launching what appear to be guided projectiles. Intercepting now." The space around the Colossus filled with smaller explosions as point defense systems engaged alien missiles and attack craft. Rapid-fire laser arrays tracked dozens of targets simultaneously, destroying them with surgical precision. The aliens had clearly expected their guided weapons to overwhelm human defenses, but they had underestimated the paranoia that drove human military design. "Captain, I'm reading panic communications across their fleet," Alex reported from his monitoring station. They're requesting immediate reinforcements from something called the Dominion High Command. Jake felt a moment of concern. If the aliens could bring more ships into the battle, even the Colossus might be overwhelmed. But reinforcements would take time to arrive, and Jake intended to finish this fight before that became an issue. Time. To end this, Jake announced. All weapons concentrated fire on their command ship. The Colossus focused its incredible firepower on Vor-On's flagship, a vessel larger than the others and covered with complex sensor arrays and communication equipment. Railgun projectiles struck the ship's shields in rapid succession, each impact causing visible fluctuations in the defensive barriers. Fusion torpedoes followed, their nuclear detonations overwhelming the alien shield generators with pure thermal energy. The alien flagship's shields collapsed in a cascade of energy discharges, leaving the ship's hull exposed to human weapons. Particle beam arrays carved deep gouges along its length, while kinetic projectiles punched through vital systems. The beautiful alien vessel began to break apart, its organic-looking hull splitting like fruit under pressure. "The command ship is down," Lisa reported. "I'm reading massive system failures across their fleet. They're losing coordination." Without their flagship's guidance, the alien formation began to dissolve completely. Individual ships attempted their own attack runs against the Colossus, but they lacked the coordination necessary to overwhelm human defenses. One by one, they fell to precisely aimed human weapons, their elegant forms twisted into unrecognizable wreckage. "Sir, approximately 40 alien vessels are attempting to retreat," Pete reported from navigation. "They're accelerating toward the system's edge." Jake studied the tactical display, weighing his options. The smart military decision would be to let them go, to avoid unnecessary casualties and potential escalation. But these aliens had threatened human colonists and demanded submission from humanity itself. If they escaped, they would return with reinforcements and better intelligence about human capabilities. Negative, Jake decided. No alien vessel leaves this system. They came here to conquer human space. Let them stay here permanently. The Colossus pursued the fleeing aliens with methodical efficiency. The human warship was faster than it looked, its powerful engines capable of sustaining acceleration that would crush unprotected crew members. The aliens had built their ships for speed and maneuverability, but they hadn't expected to flee from something that could match their velocity while maintaining devastating firepower. Chief Engineer Ryan Kelly managed the power distribution from his station, balancing the massive energy requirements of weapons, shields, and engines. "Sir, we're operating at 92% efficiency, all systems nominal." The running battle stretched across the Kepler 442 system as human weapons reached out across impossible distances to destroy fleeing alien vessels. Railgun projectiles crossed millions of kilometers in seconds, guided by targeting computers that predicted enemy movements with mathematical precision. The aliens tried evasive maneuvers, but human sensors tracked every course change and adjusted firing solutions accordingly. "Captain, the alien vessels are sending distress signals on all frequencies," Alex reported. "They're broadcasting details about our weapons and tactics to anyone who will listen." Jake nodded grimly. "Let them. I want every alien civilization in the galaxy to know what happens when someone threatens human colonies." The last group of alien ships tried to make a coordinated escape, grouping together for mutual protection as they raced toward the system's hyperspace jump point. But concentration made them easier targets for human weapons designed to punch through multiple enemies with single shots. Kinetic projectiles tore through the formation like bullets through paper, each impact sending another alien vessel tumbling into debris. "Sir, that's the last of them," Lisa announced. "All alien vessels destroyed or disabled. The system is clear." Jake looked at the tactical display, now showing only expanding clouds of debris where the alien fleet had been. 200 ships that had conquered civilizations across the galaxy, reduced to scrap metal by a single human warship. The silence that followed was profound, broken only by the quiet hum of the Colossus's systems. "Casualties?" Jake asked. "Zero human casualties, sir," Sam reported from his station. "Minor strain on some shield generators, but no system damage. We're still at full combat readiness." Jake felt the weight of what had just happened settling on his shoulders. Humanity had fought its first interstellar war and won a complete victory without losing a single person. But this was just the beginning. Word of this battle would spread across the galaxy, and humanity would never again be underestimated by alien civilizations. The silence after the battle felt heavier than the roar of weapons had moments before. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Colossus, watching the debris field spread across the tactical display like a constellation of destruction. 200 alien ships that had ruled this sector of space for millennia were now nothing more than twisted metal and cooling gases drifting through the void. "Begin search and rescue operations," Jake ordered, though he suspected there would be little to rescue. Human weapons had been designed for efficiency, not mercy. "I want every piece of wreckage scanned for survivors or recoverable technology, Dr." Elena Vasquez coordinated the science teams from her station, directing sensor sweeps across the expanding debris field. "Sir, I'm reading minimal life signs. Most of the alien vessels suffered catastrophic decompression when our kinetic weapons breached their hulls." Jake nodded, feeling a mixture of satisfaction and regret. The aliens had brought this destruction on themselves by threatening human colonies, but he took no pleasure in the complete devastation his ship had wrought. War was a tool, not an end in itself, and Jake understood the difference between necessary violence and mindless slaughter. "Captain," Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner called from communications, "I'm receiving a transmission from Admiral Rodriguez on the planet's surface." The main screen shifted to show the Colonial Command Center, where Admiral Kane Rodriguez stood among his staff with expressions of stunned relief. Behind them, Jake could see celebration beginning as word of the victory spread through the colony's population. "Jake, that was the most incredible display of military power I've ever witnessed," Kane said, his voice filled with awe. 200 alien warships, and you destroyed them all without taking a scratch." "The Colossus performed exactly as designed," Jake replied. "How are the colonists?" "Shaken, but safe. The aliens never attempted a ground assault. I think they were so confident in their fleet superiority that they never considered the possibility of losing the space battle." Jake understood that confidence. The Zephyrian Dominion had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years, crushing opposition, with overwhelming force and superior technology. They had never encountered a species that fought like humans, using kinetic weapons and brute force tactics that ignored the elegant energy warfare that dominated galactic combat. "Sir," Sensor, Specialist Kate Phillips reported from her station, "I'm detecting automated communication buoys throughout the system. They appear to be Zephyrian technology, broadcasting details of the battle to destinations across the sector." Jake felt a cold realization wash over him. The alien fleet hadn't just come to conquer a human colony. They had come to demonstrate Dominion power to other civilizations, to show what happened to species that defied alien authority. Instead, they had broadcast humanity's devastating victory to every corner of their empire. "Dr. Vasquez, can you decode those transmissions?" Elena worked at her console for several minutes before looking up with wide eyes. "Sir, these signals are reaching dozens of star systems. The entire Dominion communication network is carrying footage of our battle. Every alien civilization within 50 light-years is watching what happened here." The implications hit Jake like a physical blow. Humanity had just announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. Every alien species would know that humans possessed military technology capable of destroying entire fleets without sustaining casualties. Some would see opportunity in alliance with such a powerful new species. Others would see humanity as a threat that needed to be eliminated before it could grow stronger. "Captain, I'm receiving multiple incoming transmissions," Alex reported with barely controlled excitement. 17 different alien governments are requesting immediate contact. They're all offering diplomatic relations and trade agreements. Jake almost smiled at the speed of the alien response. Nothing motivated diplomatic overtures quite like witnessing overwhelming military force. These same civilizations had probably ignored human expansion for centuries, dismissing humanity as primitive newcomers not worth their attention. Now they were falling over themselves to establish friendly relations with the species that had just demonstrated galactic-level military power. Chief Engineer Ryan Kelly spoke up from his position at the Power Management Console. "Sir, all systems are operating within normal parameters. The Titan-class weapons performed flawlessly. We could engage another fleet of similar size without difficulty. That knowledge would be crucial in the coming days." Word of humanity's victory would spread beyond the Dominion network, reaching alien civilizations across the galaxy. Some would undoubtedly test human resolve, sending their own fleets to probe human defenses. Jake wanted them to know that the Colossus wasn't humanity's only weapon, just the first one they had chosen to reveal. "Navigation, set course for Earth," Jake ordered. "We need to report this contact to Fleet Command and prepare for the political aftermath." As the Colossus began its journey home, Jake reflected on how much had changed in a single day. Humanity had spent 3 centuries searching for signs of intelligent life, hoping to find friends and allies among the stars. Instead, their first contact had been with an aggressive empire that demanded submission and threatened genocide. But humans had responded in the most human way possible, with overwhelming violence applied with surgical precision. The Zephyrian, Dominion had learned what every human enemy throughout history had eventually discovered. Humanity was at its most dangerous when threatened, capable of unleashing destruction that dwarfed anything their enemies could imagine. "Sir," communications specialist Kate Phillips called from her station, "I'm monitoring alien communication networks across the sector. The footage of our battle is spreading faster than their ships can carry it. Within hours, every major civilization in this region of the galaxy will know what happened here." Jake nodded, understanding that they had crossed a threshold from which there could be no return. Humanity was no longer an unknown species, expanding quietly through empty space. They were now a recognized galactic power, one that had announced their presence by destroying an entire conquest fleet in a matter of hours. "Dr. Vasquez, prepare a detailed analysis of alien technology and tactics for Fleet Command. I want our people to understand exactly what we're dealing with." "Already working on it, sir. The aliens use quantum entanglement communication networks, exotic matter power systems, and energy-based weapons that suggest they've been spacefaring for at least 10,000 years. But their military doctrine assumes all opponents use similar technology. That would be humanity's advantage in future conflicts. Human weapons were designed to fight other humans who had spent millennia perfecting the art of killing each other, with increasing efficiency. Alien civilizations that had grown comfortable with energy-based warfare were unprepared for the crude brutality of kinetic weapons and nuclear explosives. Jake looked out at the stars streaming past the view screen and wondered what the future would bring. Humanity had wanted to find their place among the civilizations of the galaxy. Now they had done so, but as conquerors rather than explorers. The galaxy would never again dismiss humans as primitive newcomers. They would fear them, respect them, and some would undoubtedly try to destroy them before they became too powerful to stop. 3 days after the battle, the Colossus cruised through hyperspace toward Earth, carrying news that would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. Jake Morrison stood in his ready room, reading reports from the science teams who had spent the last 72 hours analyzing alien wreckage and technology. What they had discovered painted a picture of a galaxy far more complex and dangerous than anyone had imagined. Dr. Elena Vasquez entered the room carrying a data tablet filled with her preliminary analysis. Her expression was a mixture of excitement and concern, the look of a scientist who had made discoveries that challenged everything she thought she knew about the universe. "Captain, you need to see this," Elena said, activating the holographic display in the center of the room. "We've decoded the Zephyrian communication networks, and what we found is remarkable." The display showed a three-dimensional map of local space, with different colored regions marking the territories of various alien civilizations. Jake counted at least 30 different empires within 100 light-years of Earth, each one controlling dozens of star systems and billions of inhabitants. "The galaxy is crowded," Elena continued. "Humanity has been expanding through what the aliens consider frontier space, regions too remote or resource-poor for established civilizations to bother claiming. But we've reached the point where our expansion is bumping into established territorial boundaries." Jake studied the map, noting how human colonies formed a small cluster near one edge of the display, compared to the vast alien empires that dominated. The galactic center, humanity looked like a tiny newcomer that had barely begun to explore local space. Yet that tiny newcomer had just destroyed one of the most powerful fleets in the sector. What about the Zephyrian Dominion specifically? They're one of the older empires, established roughly 3,000 years ago when they conquered a dozen smaller civilizations. They've maintained control through superior technology and overwhelming military force, exactly the approach they tried to use on us. Elena highlighted different sections of the map as she spoke, showing the vast territory controlled by the Dominion. Their empire stretched across 47 star systems, containing hundreds of worlds and trillions of inhabitants. The fleet that had threatened the human colony represented less than 1% of their total military capability. "So we just made enemies of one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy," Jake observed. "Actually, no. We destroyed them." Jake looked up sharply. "Explain." Elena activated another section of the display, showing communication intercepts from across Dominion space. "The fleet we fought wasn't just any military formation. It was the Dominion's primary enforcement arm, led by Fleet Commander Voron himself. He was essentially their military dictator, the one who personally oversaw the conquest of new civilizations." Jake felt a cold realization building. "And we killed him, along with most of his senior commanders and their most advanced ships." The communication intercepts show complete chaos throughout Dominion space. Regional governors are declaring independence, subject species are rebelling, and their remaining military forces are fighting each other for control. The implications were staggering. In a single afternoon, humanity had not just defeated an alien fleet, but had accidentally triggered the collapse of an empire that had dominated local space for millennia. Jake wondered if that made humanity safer, or if it had just created a power vacuum that would draw other aggressive civilizations into the region. What about the other alien governments that requested contact? Elena activated a different section of the display, highlighting the territories of species that had sent diplomatic overtures to humanity. They're a mixture of smaller empires, independent systems, and former Dominion subjects. Most of them have been waiting for an opportunity to challenge Zephyrian dominance, but none were powerful enough to act alone. And now they think humanity might be that opportunity. Exactly. Our weapons technology represents a paradigm shift in galactic warfare. Energy-based civilizations have been fighting the same type of wars for thousands of years, with predictable tactics and known capabilities. We just introduce variables they can't calculate. Jake walked to the viewport and stared out at the swirling patterns of hyperspace, thinking about the responsibilities that had just fallen on humanity's shoulders. 3 days ago, humans were an unknown species exploring empty space. Now they were being courted as potential allies by civilizations that had existed since before human recorded history. The door chimed and Commander Lisa Park entered with her own reports. "Captain, I've completed the tactical analysis you requested. The results are disturbing." Jake turned from the viewport. "How so?" "The Zephyrian fleet we destroyed represented current galactic military doctrine. Fast ships, energy weapons, shield-based defenses, coordinated energy warfare tactics. It's what every major civilization uses because it's what works against other energy-based fleets. Lisa activated her own holographic display, showing comparative weapon effectiveness charts. But our kinetic weapons ignore most of their defensive systems. Shield generators designed to deflect energy beams can't stop solid projectiles traveling at relativistic speeds. Their ship armor is optimized for thermal dispersion, not kinetic impact resistance. Meaning we have a significant tactical advantage. More than significant, sir. Based on the weapon signatures we detected in their communication intercepts, we could probably defeat any alien fleet in local space using similar tactics. The question is whether we should. Jake understood Lisa's concern. Military superiority was a temporary advantage at best. Eventually, alien civilizations would adapt their technology and tactics to counter human weapons. When that happened, humanity's window of galactic dominance would close, possibly forever. There's something else, Elena added. The communication intercepts include references to something called the Galactic Council. It appears to be a loose confederation of the most powerful civilizations, established to mediate disputes and prevent large-scale wars. And they'll want to meet with us? Almost certainly. Humanity just demonstrated military capabilities that could destabilize the entire regional balance of power. They'll want to either contain us, ally with us, or destroy us before we become too powerful to stop. Jake returned to his desk and began composing his report to Fleet Command. How do you explain to civilian leadership that their species had accidentally started a galactic war by defending a single colony? How do you prepare a government for the reality that their first contact with alien intelligence had resulted in the collapse of an interstellar empire? Dr. Vasquez, I want a complete briefing prepared for Earth Command. Every detail about alien civilizations, their technology, their territories, and their probable responses to our presence. Commander Park, I need tactical assessments for potential conflicts with each major power in the region. Sir? Lisa asked. Are we expecting more battles? Jake looked at the tactical displays showing the positions of 30 alien civilizations, each one now aware that humanity possessed weapons capable of destroying their fleets. Some would seek alliance, others would demand submission, and a few would undoubtedly attempt preemptive strikes to eliminate the human threat. Commander, we just announced humanity's presence to the galaxy by destroying an entire conquest fleet. Every alien civilization within 100 light years is currently deciding whether we're potential allies, dangerous enemies, or existential threats that need to be eliminated. Jake activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the captain. Our mission parameters have changed. We are no longer simply returning to Earth with news of first contact. We are carrying information that will determine humanity's survival in a galaxy full of civilizations that have been fighting each other for thousands of years. The Colossus continued its journey through hyperspace, carrying the weight of humanity's future among the stars. The Colossus dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, home to the world where humanity had first looked up at the stars and wondered if they were alone. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching Earth grow larger on the view screen, as the massive warship approached humanity's birth world. The planet looked peaceful and unchanged, but Jake knew that everything was about to change for the billions of people living their quiet lives below. Sir, Earth Command is requesting immediate communication, reported Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner from his station. Priority Alpha protocols are in effect. Jake nodded, settling into his command chair for what would probably be the most important conversation in human history. Put them through. The main screen shifted to show Admiral Sarah Martinez, the head of Earth's naval forces and one of the most experienced military leaders in human space. Behind her, Jake could see the command center filled with officers and civilian officials, all waiting to hear about humanity's first contact with alien intelligence. Captain Morrison, Your preliminary reports have caused quite a stir here on Earth. Please confirm that you engaged and destroyed an alien fleet consisting of 200 vessels. Confirmed, Admiral. The alien force belonged to something called the Zephyrian Dominion. They demanded humanity's withdrawal from what they claimed was their territory and threatened to destroy our colony if we refused. Admiral Martinez leaned forward, her expression grave. And you responded with force. They fired first, ma'am. The Colossus returned fire in defense of human colonists. The engagement lasted approximately 6 hours and resulted in the complete destruction of the alien fleet with 0 human casualties. Jake could see the shock on the faces of the Earth command staff. They had built the Titan-class warship as a deterrent, hoping its massive firepower would prevent conflicts rather than win them. The idea that it could destroy an entire alien fleet without sustaining damage was beyond their most optimistic projections. Captain, we've been monitoring alien communication networks since your report arrived. The galaxy is in chaos. Multiple civilizations are requesting diplomatic contact, several are mobilizing military forces, and at least 3 different empires have declared states of emergency. Jake wasn't surprised. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible, demonstrating military capabilities that challenged the existing balance of power. Every alien civilization was now recalculating their strategic positions based on the knowledge that humans possessed weapons capable of annihilating entire fleets. Admiral Dr. Vasquez has prepared a comprehensive briefing on the galactic situation. The local region contains at least 30 different civilizations, most of which have been aware of each other for thousands of years. We've disrupted a political balance that has remained stable for millennia. Admiral Martinez nodded. We've been in contact with the Galactic Council, Captain. They've requested an immediate meeting with human representatives to discuss what they call the human situation. It seems our victory has implications beyond simple military considerations. Jake felt a cold dread building in his stomach. The Galactic Council represented the most powerful civilizations in local space, entities with technology and resources that dwarfed humanity's modest interstellar presence. If they decided that humans represented an unacceptable threat to galactic stability, they could mobilize forces that would make the Zephyrian fleet look like a minor patrol. What are their specific concerns? They want to understand human military capabilities, our expansion plans, and our intentions regarding other civilizations. Essentially, they want to know if humanity is going to become a galactic conqueror, or if we're willing to accept established territorial boundaries. Jake understood the dilemma. Humanity had spent 3 centuries expanding through what they thought was empty space, building colonies and claiming systems without realizing they were encroaching on territory claimed by ancient alien empires. Now they had to decide whether to accept alien authority or fight for their independence. Dr. Vasquez, transmit your analysis to Earth Command, Jake ordered. Admiral, you need to understand the scope of what we're dealing with. These aren't primitive civilizations we can intimidate with superior technology. Some of these empires control hundreds of star systems and have been spacefaring longer than humans have existed as a species. Elena worked at her station, uploading terabytes of data about alien civilizations, their technology, their territorial claims, and their probable military capabilities. The information painted a picture of a galaxy far more complex and dangerous than humanity had ever imagined. Captain, Admiral Martinez said after reviewing the preliminary data, the President has authorized me to offer you a promotion to Fleet Admiral and Operational Command of humanity's first interstellar task force. We're constructing 5 additional Titan-class vessels and retrofitting our existing fleet with kinetic weapons. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. A week ago, he had been the captain of an experimental warship on a routine patrol mission. Now he was being offered command of humanity's military response to galactic politics that had existed for thousands of years. Admiral, I recommend we proceed carefully. Our kinetic weapons give us a temporary advantage, but alien civilizations will adapt their technology and tactics. We can't fight the entire galaxy, and we shouldn't try. Then what do you recommend? Jake studied the tactical displays showing the positions of alien civilizations throughout local space. 30 different empires, each one now aware that humanity possessed weapons capable of challenging their military supremacy. Some would seek alliance, others would demand submission, and a few would undoubtedly attempt preemptive strikes. We need to choose our friends carefully and demonstrate that we're not interested in conquest. The collapse of the Zephyrian Dominion has created a power vacuum that other civilizations will try to fill. We should support the independence movements of former Dominion subjects and establish defensive alliances with smaller empires. And if the larger civilizations demand our submission? Jake thought about the 2 million colonists on distant worlds who were depending on Earth's protection. He thought about humanity's right to exist as an independent species among the stars. He thought about the countless human children who would grow up in a galaxy shaped by the decisions made in the next few months. Then we show them what happened. To the Zephyrians, not as conquerors, but as defenders. Humanity didn't start this conflict, but will finish it if necessary. Admiral Martinez nodded slowly. Fleet Admiral Morrison, you are hereby authorized to represent humanity in all negotiations with alien civilizations. Your primary mission is to secure humanity's place in the galaxy while avoiding unnecessary conflicts. Jake accepted the promotion with mixed feelings. Command of humanity's interstellar forces was an honor, but it also meant responsibility for decisions that could determine whether his species survived or perished in the coming galactic upheaval. Admiral, I'll need complete autonomy in military, operations, and diplomatic negotiations. If we're going to navigate galactic politics, we can't wait for authorization from Earth on every decision. Granted, the Colossus will serve as your flagship until the other Titan-class vessels are completed. Captain Park will assume command of the ship while you handle strategic coordination. Jake looked around the bridge at the crew who had served with him through humanity's first interstellar battle. They had proven themselves capable of facing any challenge the galaxy could present, but Jake wondered if courage and superior weapons would be enough to secure humanity's future among civilizations that had been fighting each other since before humans learned to use fire. 6 months after the destruction of the Zephyrian fleet, Fleet Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the observation deck of the newly constructed Titan Station, humanity's first major military installation beyond Earth's solar system. Through the massive viewport, he could see 5 Titan-class warships patrolling the perimeter, their hulls gleaming with the latest improvements in human military technology. The galaxy had changed dramatically since that first encounter, and humanity had changed with it. Dr. Elena Vasquez joined him at the viewport, carrying reports from the latest diplomatic missions. Her role had evolved from ship scientist to humanity's leading expert on alien civilizations, a position that required her to understand the complex politics of dozens of different species. The Galactic Council meeting is scheduled for next week, Elena reported. 17 major civilizations will attend, including some we've never had direct contact with. They want to formalize humanity's status in what they're calling the New Galactic Accords. Jake nodded, watching a human patrol ship escort a convoy of alien vessels through the system. The aliens were former Dominion subjects who had declared independence after the Zephyrian collapse, seeking human protection from larger empires that wanted to claim their territory. It was exactly the type of alliance Jake had hoped to build. What's their proposed status for humanity? Regional power with guaranteed territorial boundaries and limited expansion rights. They're essentially offering us what the Zephyrians had: dominion over a specific sector in exchange for maintaining regional stability. Jake felt a mixture of satisfaction and concern. 6 months ago, humanity had been an unknown species, expanding through what they thought was empty space. Now they were being offered a seat at the galactic table alongside civilizations that had ruled the stars for millennia, but acceptance would mean acknowledging alien authority over human expansion. Captain Lisa Park entered the observation deck, now commanding her own Titan-class vessel as part of the new fleet. She carried tactical reports from the latest patrol missions, documenting the ongoing conflicts that had erupted across former Dominion territory. Admiral, we've completed the security sweep of the Kepler 442 system. 3 different alien fleets attempted to claim the system after the Dominion collapse, but they withdrew when our patrol ships arrived. Any casualties? None. Word of what happened to the Zephyrians has spread throughout the galaxy. Most alien commanders prefer negotiation to testing human weapons. Jake appreciated that development. Human military doctrine emphasized overwhelming force to end conflicts quickly, but he preferred intimidation to actual combat. Every battle won without firing a shot was a victory for diplomacy over destruction. Chief Engineer Ryan Kelly approached, with technical reports from the latest weapon upgrades. Human scientists had been studying captured alien technology, learning to adapt energy-based systems to complement their kinetic weapons. The result was a new generation of warships that combined human firepower with alien defensive capabilities. Admiral, the retrofit program is ahead of schedule. All Titan-class vessels now carry both kinetic and energy weapons, plus shield systems adapted from Zephyrian technology. We're ready for whatever the galaxy can throw at us. Jake studied the technical specifications, noting how human engineers had improved on alien designs. Where the Zephyrians had favored elegant but fragile technology, humans built systems that were crude but virtually indestructible. The combination created warships that were both powerful and resilient. What about the other human colonies? All secure under the new defense grid. We've established patrol routes that cover every human system, with rapid response capabilities for any threats. The aliens know that attacking any human world means facing the entire fleet. Jake felt proud of what humanity had accomplished in such a short time. 6 months ago, they had possessed a single experimental warship and no knowledge of galactic politics. Now they commanded a fleet of the most powerful vessels in local space and had established defensive alliances with a dozen smaller civilizations. Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner, now serving as Jake's chief diplomatic officer, entered, with communication reports from across human space. Admiral, we've received formal alliance requests from 8 former Dominion worlds. They're offering exclusive trade agreements in exchange for military protection. Terms? Standard mutual defense pacts. They provide resources and intelligence. We provide protection from larger empires that want to absorb their territory. It's essentially what we discussed during the strategic planning sessions. Jake approved those arrangements. Human military power was impressive, but it couldn't match the vast resources of the older galactic empires. Alliance with smaller civilizations provided the economic foundation needed to maintain humanity's growing fleet while establishing moral authority as protectors rather than conquerors. Any word from the major powers? Mixed reactions. The hegemony of Suns has offered a non-aggression pact with implied trading rights. The Crystal Dominion wants to establish formal diplomatic relations. The Iron Throne Empire is maintaining hostile neutrality, but they haven't made any aggressive moves. Jake studied the latest intelligence reports, noting how galactic politics had shifted since the Zephyrian collapse. The destruction of a major empire had created opportunities for expansion that hadn't existed for thousands of years. Some civilizations saw humanity as potential allies in claiming former Dominion territory. Others viewed humans as dangerous newcomers who needed to be contained before they grew too powerful. Dr. Vasquez, what's your assessment of our position? Elena activated a holographic display showing current territorial boundaries and alliance networks. We've achieved strategic parity with the major galactic powers. Our military capabilities give us defensive superiority, while our alliances provide the economic base needed to maintain that superiority. The question is whether we can sustain this position long-term. Jake understood her concern. Human advantages were based on technological surprise and tactical innovation, both of which would diminish as alien civilizations adapted their own military doctrine. Eventually, the galaxy would develop countermeasures for human weapons, and humanity would need to rely on diplomacy rather than superior firepower. The council meeting will determine our future, Jake observed. If we can establish formal recognition of human sovereignty and territorial boundaries, we'll have achieved our primary objectives. And if they refuse? Jake looked out at the patrol ships moving through the system, human vessels carrying crews who had volunteered to defend their species' place among the stars. These men and women represented the best of humanity, brave, intelligent, and determined, to secure their children's future regardless of the odds they faced. Then we remind them what happened to the last alien empire that threatened human worlds. The galaxy fell silent after witnessing the destruction of the Zephyrian Dominion. If necessary, we can make it fall silent again. 6 months ago, humanity had been alone in the galaxy, expanding slowly through empty space, while wondering if they would ever find intelligent life. Now they commanded one of the most powerful fleets in local space and had established themselves as a major galactic power. The price had been the destruction of an entire alien empire and the collapse of political structures that had maintained stability for thousands of years. But humanity had secured its place among the stars, not as subjects to alien authority, but as equals in a galaxy that finally understood the consequences of threatening human worlds. The age of human expansion had begun, and it would be defined by the simple principle that those who sought to dominate humanity would face the awakened might of Earth's children among the stars. Jake Morrison, Fleet Admiral of humanity's interstellar forces, looked out at the stars and knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them with courage, intelligence, and enough firepower to level entire civilizations if necessary. The galaxy had learned to respect human power. Now it would learn to live with human presence as a permanent feature of the cosmic landscape.